And welcome back. This is the third video on process value mapping for the HASM series on lean management. In this video, we'll add a few finishing touches to the process value mapping system we've discussed so far in preparation for the next video, which will introduce you to the full scope and breadth of lean management. Specifically for the moment, we'll look at levels of resolution and abstraction in process value mapping, three common point of views or scenarios for the use of value mapping, and we'll talk about cycle and takt times, as well as bottlenecks. So with that out of the way, let's begin. Let's start with a new process to use as an example. Residents of a full-service retirement community having dinner in the dining room. So on your screen, you will see the process flow. Starts with the guests having their drink order taken. So for this particular process, I should start by saying, is from the server's point of view. So the guests are seated at the table. The server approaches and does the initial greet for guests, takes drink orders, which can take up to, let's call it an average of 2 minutes. From there, there's no wait time. The server immediately goes to the bar and delivers the drinks to the table. So the whole drink making process, we'll say, takes 3 minutes. We then take the order from the table, which is about 2 minutes, including discussing specials and allergies. We bring the order chit to the kitchen. We'll use a paper system for this, just so that we don't have to worry about point of sale or any of that sort of thing in this example. We then bring the cutlery and condiments to the table, which takes a minute. And you can see so far it's been a flurry of activity for the server who has worked nonstop. At this point, there's a 17-minute wait before the server brings the meals to the table. After 4 minutes, the server quality checks the table. A 15-minute wait, and then the server clears the table, offers dessert. In this example, we'll say that the guests do not want dessert. And so we will then wait 5 minutes, clean and set the table for the next guests. Now, there's a couple of things to note, remembering that in lean we say that all waiting time is waste. I think that you will see here that there's a significant difference between the manufacturing processes, where you're talking about an assembly line, where waiting is indeed wasteful, and service. I would suggest that we need to give the guests time to eat their meal. So you will see some discrepancies here in standard lean management practices, and that is because lean doesn't translate, or at least this particular process of lean doesn't translate perfectly to hospitality and services management. But we will show ways around that, and we will show ways that we can adapt this to us. So let's dive into this a little bit. First of all, let's get everything colored in as we have in the past, with wasteful, support, and mandated work. And so what you can see now on your screen is that just about everything does deliver some value to the guest. Bringing the order chit to the kitchen itself, obviously no value to the guest, but that said, is necessary to the process. Otherwise, the cooks would never cook it. We have the quality check to the table, which is mandated, and then we have the cleaning and setting the table for the next guest, which is mandated work, neither of which deliver any true value to the guest. Remembering again that in lean, we assume that all work is completed correctly the first time. So that quality check of the table, while nice to have, does not bring any actual value. So let's talk about resolution and abstraction. We have chosen here to look at this process from a certain resolution, we'll call it. We could, for example, broken up the part where the server communicates to the kitchen with server walks to the kitchen, server gives ticket to chef and carbon copy to the line cook. Server waits for chef's acknowledgement on modifier, server leaves kitchen, and these processes could take anywhere from 10 seconds to a minute each. So we absolutely could, but there comes a point where looking at processes in higher resolutions becomes paralyzing. We would generally chunk these mini processes together at first, and only later, if we have a process, say for example we want to know why getting drinks from the bar and delivering to table takes 3 minutes, then we could blow that up and look at that in higher resolution. It's also possible to zoom out to a level of abstraction that makes this exercise completely useless. For example, we could say server takes the order, server delivers order, server cleans table. That would be accurate, but it doesn't give us any valuable data. So the general rule of thumb for the service industry is that you want to break a process down into discrete steps of about 1 to 10 minutes or so. Any shorter than that, and you're really just sort of micromanaging the process. Any longer than that, and you end up just chunking the process up in a way that doesn't give you any valuable information. Of course, this changes from process to process and from organization to organization, so in your particular case, you'll just have to use your best judgment. But let's look back to the example on your screen. We used the server's point of view for this. We'll call the server Rowan. We use Rowan's point of view. So from the moment Rowan approached the table to the moment Rowan cleaned and set the table for the next guest, that's what we looked at. But we could have done it from a different point of view. Let's look at this process from the order and the food's point of view. So let me put something up on your screen now. And here you can see from the meal's point of view, the meal really kind of starts existing from the moment that the order is taken. So we've skipped the whole drink process and started with the order. The order chit is then brought to the kitchen. That is the same as from the server's point of view. Kitchen prepares the order. This we did not note when we were looking at it from the server's point of view. But you can see there was a 4-minute wait between when the order was brought to the kitchen started preparing it, and then an 11-minute wait while the kitchen prepared it. Then we can see the expediter calling for service, for the service staff to come pick up the order, which takes a minute, and then there's a minute wait before the service staff arrives. So suddenly that 17-minute break that we had between the server bringing the cutlery and bringing the meals to the table is starting to make sense, and we can see that it's not full waste. There's stuff going on. At the same time, we could look at it from the guest's point of view, and let's put that up. And you can see from the moment they arrive, there's a wait. The host greets them and seats them. There's a wait again, and the server arrives. And a lot of this you'll recognize from the first example. The server takes the drinks orders. Server gets the drinks from the bar, brings cutlery and condiments to the table. There's a 3-minute wait between the server getting drinks from the bar and delivering to the table and bringing cutlery and condiments. And what I have failed to put in there is the server getting the order. But that 3-minute wait is when the server is going to the kitchen and dropping things off and talking to the kitchen. They come back, they bring the cutlery and condiments, and then there's a 17-minute wait that we remember from the server's point of view, bringing the meal to the table. And here, where for the server, we saw a 4-minute wait, a quality check, a 15-minute wait. From the guest point of view, we see a 16-minute, they're just eating the meal. There's a 4-minute wait, and then the server comes, clears the tables, offers dessert, and then the guests leave. So here we've seen the same process 3 times. Each one gives us different information. Each one seems to fill in blanks in other ones. So while we might initially think, well, that this 15-minute wait is wasteful, as we would in a manufacturing process, in a service environment, since we can look at things from different points of view. We can look at it from the point of view of the individual who's working. We can look at it from the point of view of the work being done, which is what we did when we looked at it from the order and the meal. Or we can look at it from the point of view of the guest who is experiencing the service. And if we put them all together, we can really find where those waits are wasteful and where the waits aren't. So I have built a web. Let's put that on the screen here. And I haven't put the wait times in. It's a complicated enough thing without the waste times. But here is the full process. Now you are, of course, free to build these at any time, these webs. What I'll tell you, though, is they look beautiful in meetings, but they lack the simplicity of the single process map. So in general, when you are looking for waste or ways to improve things, you will build a single process map. And we tend to look at it from one of the points of views, either the individual doing the work or the guest experience. Those would be the 2 that we use most often in the hospitality sector. So with that done, let's have a look over here. I want to talk a bit about cycle and takt times. Both are useful to know, and they have moderately limited applications in hospitality and service. In manufacturing, which again, where this process was originally designed for, they're very well used and they're very powerful. But there are some things we can do about it, especially when we look at bottlenecks. So I'll just put up 3 very quick examples on the screen. First one is a hotel where a guest arrives. The doorman greets the guest, takes 2 minutes. Doorman walks the guest into the reception line. Reception checks the guest in, takes about 5 minutes. And then the bell team brings up the luggage, which takes about 8 minutes. I have not put in wait times, and there's a reason for this, is that we are looking at a bottleneck here. So it only takes 2 minutes for the doorman to process a guest, but it takes 5 minutes to check them in, which means the first guest will be able to walk right up to reception and be checked in. But the second guest, assuming that we're working on full capacity, and again, as I've mentioned before, this was designed for manufacturing, to look at manufacturing processes. So the general assumption is that we are always working at full capacity. You will see that the doorman will start making a queue. And then as guests are being checked into reception, reception is faster than the bell team, which means there will be another queue. So as the day goes on, wait times will increase. We therefore have bottlenecks. You can see below there's another example where it's a DMV office. And again, at the reception desk, there's 1 minute. It takes 1 minute to check in. Takes 12 minutes to get the license renewal and 1 minute to get your photo taken at the photo station. I think we all have been to the DMV before and we know exactly what that feels like. Huge waiting rooms. There's a way around this, of course, which would be for the DMV specifically, if it's 1 minute to check him in reception and 12 minutes to renew the license. If you had 12 license renewal stations open for every 1 reception desk station open, you would balance out that bottleneck. I've also made a generic step down at the bottom just to show what a no bottleneck system would look like. Now, cycle times. A cycle time is the time it takes to do an entire process, wait time included, from beginning to end. So if we look at the check-in process up on the top example, we see 2 minutes for the doorman to greet, 5 minutes for reception, 8 minutes for the bell team to bring up. That's a 15-minute cycle time, assuming no wait times. The moment a lineup shows up, then we have to increase the cycle time. And again, we would use averages. So your average throughout the day would become your cycle time. The last thing I want to talk about is takt time. Takt time is how long you have to do a specific cycle given the time available to you and the number of cycles required. So if you had orders for 60 units and you had 1 hour to produce them, that would mean that you have a takt time of 1 minute. If your cycle time was 1 minute or less, you would achieve your deadline. If your cycle time is more than 1 minute, you would fail. In the manufacturing world, it's fairly easy to calculate because you turn on your assembly line in the morning and you shut it down in the evening and you run at capacity for the entire time. In the hospitality and services industry, we know that guests will come at different times of day. There will be rushes, there will be clumps of guests, there will be times where there's nothing going on. So it's better to take your day and break it up into shoulder periods, into rushes and dead periods, and calculate separate takt times for each based on your forecasts. Again, I hope I haven't scared you away from this. There are a number of problems when using this sort of analysis in the hospitality services sector, specifically because it was designed for use in the manufacturing sector. However, what we have just done in these past 3 videos is we've built a vocabulary, a way for you and I to communicate changes and modifications to processes. This is very important because in our next video on lean management, we really start in the meat of what lean is and how we can modify it for hospitality and services. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you continue to enjoy the videos that we're producing. And for those of you who were using my previous videos as ASMR to fall asleep, I am sorry. I've been told that I need to be a little more animated, and so no more lullabies. Thank you very much and have a great day.